Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Danny Guillory. I am here again with Steve, and we have a guest today. Hey, what's up, Colleen?
Hey, how are you?
So yeah, Colleen's here going to talk to us about Itch today. Colleen, let's jump in. Let's tell the people a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you manage, your team, and tell us about Itch because it's probably one of my favorite apps. I can't tell you the last time I actually used a fat client, like between Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all of our at least, first party apps, like I haven't had the need to open Outlook and deal with other dog food issues.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. That's just so awesome. My name is Colleen. I'm a principal program manager on the Edge product group team. I have been on the team since IE9. So what I like to say to people, I have seen things throughout these releases, I assure you. I have worked with every third party known to man across the world, and then a lot of internal engagements as well. And I will tell you that, Edge built on Chromium is by far, I think, our best one so far. We've gotten so much positive reactions internally and externally, and so love it. Love to hear that it's working well for you. I think we love the logo. I think one of the things in the Seattle area, it's like, oh, it's kind of Seahawks colors, So it's nice to see that fresh blue and green. I did not paint my office to match the logo. It just is a happy coincidence there. So thanks for having me on today's show.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Steve, before we let Colleen share and talk to us a lot deeper, like what's your customers, that you talk to a part of CAT, like what are your customers saying about Edge, liking it, managing it, things like that?
I think what amazes them the most has been the fast turnaround and the rapid development and how quickly we were to get to market when you look at when it was announced and when it became available. They like the fact that it was available early on. So when it came time for Edge to go prime time, they had already had ample opportunity to test and to vet the product. And getting enterprise customers to a single browser is almost paramount for them because it simplifies a lot of the IT pros management workload. So I've heard tremendous good things about the new Edge.
Nice. Colleen, you were gonna say something? I heard something. You had something?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great time being on the team, and you get to see how it's all done daily. And yeah, we got to market, pretty quickly, and you can see here the channels that we have available. And we had the Canary and Dev channel available, I think, within 4 or 5 months of when we announced we were moving to Edge on Chromium. And that Canary channel, it's updated daily. Dev channel updated weekly. We don't have any other builds other than what you see here. Like, we don't have internal builds. Some enterprise customers who are kind of used to, private preview technical programs where they get, things under NDA. We don't have that anymore because, we ship daily now from the Canary build. So we don't have private stuff. There's no way we could do that. So you can see the channels available. Canary, Dev, we've got the beta channel updated every 6 weeks, our stable channel updated every 6 weeks. And just a shout out, we turned 1 year old in January, so we're about 1.5 years now. It's been about a 2.5 year journey, getting through this, and things are moving, and we continue. Even through last year, with the exception of one time, we've continued to update every 6 weeks. And it shows by the end user feedback. So our NPS, our Net Promoter Score, has improved 30 points over Edge Legacy since Edge on Chromium. So end users are responding positively, and we really, really appreciate that.
Okay, cool. So I have some questions, but I don't want to steal any thunder from your presentation. So I'll save just a few questions for myself that I know I have at the end. But if anybody that's watching has questions, please drop them in the chat. The reason me and Steve do this is really for the engagement. So if you got questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll make sure we get them to Colleen. We can hopefully get them answered online if we don't ramble too much about just the things we want to talk about. But Colleen, I'll go ahead and hit to the next stage, and you can share us what you got.
All right, I'll go through a couple of just screens, and then we can just stop and chat and see, you know, what questions anybody has, and play it by ear. So one of the things that Steve alluded to is no need for any other browser. Enterprise customers have a lot of browsers on their machine. They did have 3 Microsoft browsers. You know, we did remove Edge Legacy in the April timeframe. Now you're down to 2, but we are everywhere. This is kind of the benefit of Edge on Chromium. You know, Edge Legacy that shipped with Windows 10 was only available on Windows 10, and turned out at that time not everybody was on Windows 10. And so we're in client, we're in server, we're in Win 7, 8.1 servers, the LTSC SKUs. On all the server 2008 R2 and above. We're on Mac. I mean, this browser was our first Microsoft browser on Mac, and I think 13 years. We have I think 1 or 2 people on the team that actually helped build out IE on Mac back in the day, and they're still on the team now building out Edge on Chromium. So they really have seen some things. So we are available on the M1 machines as of I think January, February timeframe. We're on iOS and Android. We've actually been on those devices for a couple of years now, longer than Edge on Chromium, and so that's exciting there to have, you know, platform consistency as we've heard from customers. And then Linux previews, that's available in the dev and the beta channels. Our team is working there on Linux, and gosh, I remember when I started as a vendor in the Windows Vista timeframe. You know, think about Microsoft stuff being on Linux and being open source. That was quite. You really didn't say that stuff out loud. So it's just so awesome to see the turnaround at Microsoft wholly, as well as, you know, the browser and having availability on Linux. So the big thing that happened a couple of weeks ago that we want to address is we did announce IE11, you know, retirement and on Windows 10 devices. So the future is IE mode, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But IE11 will be retired on Windows 10 June 15th, 2022. So you have a year to go ahead and make those adjustments. And then we did announce the IE mode will be available through at least 2029. So customers were very clear. They said, hey, we need to understand what's happening with IE11. Please give us a roadmap of what you're doing there. Also, you know, what this IE mode thing, we like it, we see it, we want to use it. But we also need to have timelines about it. So customers have really taught us a lot over the last year about what they need to have in order to move forward. We have a great blog on this for you to go and read more. And here's a little timeline of our announcement. You know, we talked about this May 19th. Just as a reminder, August 17th, Microsoft site, so M365, Power Apps, Dynamics, some other site applications will stop supporting IE11, so that's in a couple of months. Those sites and apps don't need IE11. Those work absolutely fine in Edge. And then, you know, June 15th, you know, 2022 is when IE retires. We do have some areas that are in scope and then some areas that are out of scope. And so our FAQ that I've noted here at the bottom has all of the in scope and out of scope areas. So I want to talk a little bit about the out of scope. So that's at the top right area over here. So obviously IE mode is out of scope. You know, that is the future. The platform, so Trident, iExport.exe, that's what we need IE mode for. That is not going away. If you've built using WebOC, you've got those browser controls, those will continue to work. Windows 7 ESU 8.1 is out of scope. Server out of scope. IoT LTSC out of scope. So there's just some other areas that are out of scope. So this is really focusing on the Windows 10 client in scope in the announcement. So I just want to stop here. I know that's a lot to take in and see if there are any questions. Or Danny, you want to ask anything here?
Not yet, but I have a quick question. What is the platform commitment for Edge? Are we going across the board? I know for a fact that it's on the Surface Hub because I against my wife's wishes, I actually bought one. I'm that much of a company man, and one of the first things I did was provision the new Edge for it several months back, and I love it. I love it a lot. So what about things like HoloLens and some of our specialized devices and specialized workloads?
Yeah, so I believe there's a preview available on Xbox. The HoloLens team. So the great thing about our code, especially internally on our stuff, is the the Xbox team is the one who really worked on that, and we partnered with them where available, but they're the ones who really worked on it to get Edge on Chromium on those devices. The HoloLens folks are taking a look at that as well. We really are
Awesome.
focusing on the desktop areas, but yeah, I mean we're partnering with the other teams across the area as well.
That's great.
But,
So go ahead, Danny.
So what are you hearing from customers and peers, and what's getting escalated to you? Like, what's the impact? Like, are you finding that escalations either internally or just outside questions like, oh crap, what's gonna happen? I have this old school legacy app that's all in IE, and now you're telling me it's going away because I've been kicking the can down the road forever, right? And I guess that's what, like, I used to work in healthcare, right? And I remember having those crappy applications and stuff that was made before I was born, and it was like, yeah, we just got to find a way to keep kicking this thing down the road. And I am positive there are still customers doing that. So, like, what are you hearing from your customers, peers, internally? Like, what's the good, the bad, the ugly?
What's the scuttlebutt, huh? Yeah, no, customers have actually responded very well. I think it's a lot of social networking of, oh, it's about time. Some even were like, why are you waiting a year? Just do it now. But there are other areas. Healthcare is a great one. There's some country specific necessities for IE11, but that's where IE mode comes in. And so never fear, IE mode is here. And so this is the feature that we you like this. This is something that we put together late last night. IE mode allows for backward compatibility. So any site or app that needs IE11 for whatever reason, IE mode is there in Edge. And so this is what gets us down to that one Microsoft browser. And here it is. It provides a full native experience. It's running IE11 in the background. So enterprises can put any site or app on the enterprise mode site list. And when an end user comes across that, then and they're working in Edge, they don't open up a second browser. They don't have to make a decision to figure out what browser to go to. They don't have to figure out what browser to get back into. We found that people were getting into IE11 and they were getting lost. They just kind of stayed there, and then they would come across a modern site that doesn't work very well in IE11. So IE mode is the path forward. It supports ActiveX controls, dock modes, polyfills. It's supported on all platforms where IE11 is supported. We do have a consumer mode IE mode available, and we're making some improvements on discoverability of that in the next couple of releases. So companies don't have to modernize. We did a total economic impact study with Forrester, and to modernize one application or site, it costs $335,000. Now, if you've got even hundreds or thousands, I spoke to a customer not too long ago, and they had 6,000 sites that needed IE11, right? That's a huge commitment in ROI. But with IE mode, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. You just use the site list, and it opens up an IE mode, and the end user can go about their day and continue working.
Gotcha. Steve, any questions you want to ask?
I think we could possibly have some attendees today that fall into the same camp that I do. I'm an app compat nerd, basically, and so we're really, I've been getting hit up with a lot of questions about, oh, how does this work? How does this work behind the scenes? Because we're just curious. We love technology. We love, for those of us who work a lot with compatibility, we're always curious to see how these things work as well. And this, I see that's kind of where you're going here with the slide. So I'm kind of pumped, and I know some of our attendees are probably as well.
Yeah, no, IE mode, usually when I'm like on stage or something, this is usually where it gets a lot of applause, this particular feature, and our developers love that. this was not an easy thing to build. It wasn't like, you know, oh, here's a couple lines of code and then magical. It's quite a bit of work in the background, but it is running IE11, you know, in the background there. So.
I mean, go ahead. You can keep going with.
Sorry, I thought I heard something. I just want to say that we've got the Aperture team. Fast Track is available, so if there's a site or app that's not working, what we do hear from customers, so IE mode, while an amazing feature and a powerful feature, it does have to be set up. And so there's usually two types of customers. One customer who has already set up their enterprise mode site list, you know, as they utilized it in IE11 when we first developed this many years ago. And then and you can use that same site list, you know, in Edge on Chromium. However, there's another set of customers who have never done that before, have never set up the site list before. And while we have all sorts of documentation and videos on how to do that, it can be overwhelming for some customers. But Aperture will walk you through that. The Fast Track team is there as well. So we've got a lot of programs and areas to support customers who are just starting their journey here. So don't be overwhelmed. Like it can happen, you can do it, it'll work, and we're here to help you.
So we have a question, looks like that came in from Twitter. How can I configure a default search engine for our new devices? We're not using what Edge recommends.
Yeah, so there are group policies available to do all sorts of configurations. We have about 280 group policies. I have some links there at the end. aka.ms/deployedge is the documentation there where you want to go and look up the browser policies, and you'll be able to configure stuff through group policies.
Awesome.
If you're a customer, if you're I assume it's a customer if you're trying to do a group policy. If you're an end user, you should be able to go, excuse me, right into the browser and take care of that.
Now
your question, let me know.
Policies, are they those group policies they're also available via CSP, right? Configured through Intune.
Yep, that's right.
Awesome.
We also got a question from Twitter, and I imagine we're going to get this a lot from our VDI customers. How can we block those website videos that autoplay after Edge updates and when Edge installs? Is that configurable?
Experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're working on that now. We do see. Gosh, I think it came in a couple of weeks ago. So that is, I think, causing a little bit of a problematic, that first run experience. And so we're working through what that would look like to suppress that for updates to through VDI. But I appreciate that feedback. That, you know, I'll check in on what the status of that is. That's a tricky one. The first run experience is communicate to customers, you know, end users what's going on and what they can do. However, in the VDI space, that just takes up a lot, and so I hear that, and we'll go ahead and follow up on that. Thank you for providing that feedback.
Cool. All right, you can keep going with the PowerPoint if you want. We'll come back to some more questions later.
Perfect. So now that we've talked about the recent announcements, you know, talking about some features for security and productivity. Starting with security, you know, we take security very seriously. You know, no one wants to see their company's name in the paper on any breaches. The average cost of a data breach is $3.86 million. Need to protect corporate network data and information. I think we all can feel this. It's very easy to trick a user to open something or save something, click something. We've all done it, I assure you. You know, much to the chagrin of our red teams. We've all clicked on something that we are not supposed to. And this is a top concern for customers, the smallest customers and largest. Hey, go click here, change your password, give me all your information, and things go awry from there. But with Edge and all of the features that we have, and I'm going to walk through a few of those, Edge is more secure than Chrome for your business on Windows 10, and we have some documentation on what that means. And it's a lot of like the smart screen and phishing, that type of stuff. And so on the top left, that's where Smart Screen comes in, and that helps block any potentially unwanted sites or applications. We've got Application Guard, the top right over there, where if site is in an untrusted list, basically what we see from customers is they will put the internet on an untrusted site list, and so that opens up into a separate container, and so all of the corporate information is untouchable. And we've added some additional features in the App Guard space. That's available on Windows 10. Conditional access, this has been super important over the last year. Enables orgs to identify the specific conditions to authenticate and gain access. Again, always trying to protect users from the bad actors is what we call them, right? The internet is fast moving, and it's not always the safest place in some ways. And so Edge helps you do that with all of these features here, and it's natively supported in Edge, no extensions needed or required. And then of course, Endpoint DLP, so data loss prevention. This came online, late last year. So it helps companies identify and protect sensitive info. You don't want to copy and paste something. Do you really want to copy and paste that particular document over into a public share or onto Twitter? That's kind of everyone's worst fear, right? Copying and pasting something into a social network then it isn't there, and Endpoint DLP will go ahead and help with that.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
About that integration. How did it come about with that integration to do all of those? Like, a lot of times customers will ask us, like, internally, is it difficult to make that integration all work together, or are we all holding hands singing Kumbaya?
You mean if a customer has all of these things going on, does it all work, or
right? So I have conditional access. I want to use them all, and what's the level of work it took to make all of that integration happen and work together to provide such a secure browser, basically?
Yeah, we want you to use them all. There's, I think we use the term enlightenment in an enlightened browser, and so having depending upon your licensing, the goal is to use all of them. Smart Screen has been around for a long time. We've continued to iterate on that. That just continues to work. Application Guard, that actually started in Edge Legacy that we shipped in Windows 10. So that's moved on to Edge on Chromium. Conditional access is a natural fit, and it's an absolute must-have. I think we were all, very excited when the Azure AD, folks shipped that a couple of years ago, and Edge is just a natural fit with that and can be done there. And then Endpoint DLP, kind of our latest, family member here, that just kind of helps build on top of it. So the goal is for it all to work together. The goal is for you to use them all together. We have to continue to innovate on security. The internet, and like I said, it's fast moving. There's always things out there that are trying to take advantage of weaknesses and insecure areas. And what we heard from customers is, I don't want to use, I've got a third party for this, I've got a third party application for that, right. I've got Microsoft over here. So we're trying to say, hey, you don't have to have all of that. This will help reduce customers' footprint. They can get rid of some of those third party applications. It's less costly. They only have to manage one thing. So the goal is for you to use them all.
Those last question now, let's just go on. Those security insights that drive the security of the browser, like what's the details that drive those security insights, right? What's the difference between going to a website today and not seeing it not alerting me with Smart Screen 10 minutes later, or the next day, now that same website I get an alert? What's driving that security insight?
So that's reputation based. Smart Screen is all reputation based. So the higher the reputation, the better the reputation, the more that we trust that. It's not foolproof. We continue to innovate on that. Every now and then we'll recognize something as potentially dangerous, and we'll work with the third party saying, hey, it's not, and we did that into our algorithm. But it's constantly kind of moving forward, and it is all reputation based. That's kind of the back end magic of that, and our security folks both within Windows and then within the Edge team itself, kind of partner together on that. I hope that answered your question, Danny.
Yeah, it did. I asked one question that came from a customer. We're previously able to script proxy settings for mobile users so they could toggle settings. Is this still feasible?
Proxies, that's always a little challenging. So they toggled proxy settings in Edge on a mobile device. Was that the question?
I believe it was Edge Mobile. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And they want to continue to do that?
Well, they asked, is it still feasible? So I assume yes, they want to. Maybe, after some more conversation, they may not realize they need to do that, but that's kind of what they put in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to learn a little bit more. If you were able to do it, it still should work. I'd like to understand just a little bit more about what you're trying to do and the scenario that you're trying to solve for.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing with some of these questions and answers. It's like, tell me more, or it's complicated.
Exactly. So the person that put that in the Q&A, add a little bit more detail, and we'll catch Colleen up, and she can hopefully come back to that a little bit later.
Awesome.
But that's all the questions I had. I'll let you keep going. I'll stop interrupting.
Well, while we're on this screen, Colleen, if we could go back to that screen with the, I noticed that you point out about Endpoint DLP requiring an M365 E5 or Microsoft 365 E5 compliant subscription. And we also had a question about, because we have a lot of customers who are E3 and are leveraging Windows information protection instead of Endpoint DLP. And we had a question from Sven. It looks like he's running into some potential issues with WIP and multiple work profiles in Edge. It's interesting. What is the story around Windows information protection in the new Edge?
Yeah, Windows information protection is supported, absolutely. We actually, that shipped over a year ago. And we actually pulled it in. It was actually going to ship a little bit later in the 2020 timeframe, and we pulled it in early based upon the world around us at that time and what customers were working on. So Windows information protection absolutely works. I understand, if you're an E3 customer, that's a great one there for you. I'm interested in understanding what's happening in the profile space, and if you could provide a little bit more information there to understand what's going on.
Sure, it's pretty detailed in the chat. Actually, it looks like they're running into issues. So we can probably table this, and you can we could perhaps follow up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Also, I just want to throw out there that the Edge is, if you have a Premier support contract, Edge is already in there. You don't have to pay any extra for Edge. The beta and stable channels are already supported. So calling CSS is always an option as well, but would love to understand what's going on and get that fixed for you.
Okay, I won't ask anymore. We can move on.
Excellent. So I've talked about security quite a bit. Some of the features that we've done over the last year, Endpoint DLP, WDAG, so that's the application guard improvements. Excuse me, password monitor and password generator. These are new over the last few months. So password generator allows you to generate, a password. You can right click into a password area and, say generate strong password. I utilize that. That works amazingly. It syncs in with the Microsoft Authenticator app. And so I'm able to go into my mobile device, and it's all just kind of pretty seamless. It's actually pretty magical on how it all works together. Password monitor, this monitors passwords on the dark web and informs the end user, hey, looks like this is leaked. You might want to change that out. And so this helps just really understand what's going on and just, again, staying one step ahead to protect the end user, and we use this pretty generously here, within the team. From a productivity perspective, at the end of the day, we all have to be productive. apparently that's what our bosses, look for, is for us to continue to be efficient and productive, and Edge wants to continue to help you do that. So vertical tab shift, this has been a huge hit with end users. Tab management is just a nightmare. I mean, if you think about it, if you go and look how many tabs you actually have open in any browser, managing those, it can be cumbersome. So vertical tabs helps do that. Smart copy, that helps you be able to copy and paste and keep the same formatting. Nothing worse than having to reformat something that you copy and paste. Collections has been a great feature over the last few years, and we've continued to make improvements there. I'd love to hear from enterprise customers about collections. We're starting to, get some questions about can IT admins preset collections, and we're looking at that. So I'd like to understand more if that's of interest. We like to build features that customers are asking for rather than we think they want. I think we've all tried to do that before, regardless of software inventions, and sometimes that doesn't all work. So would love to hear more about collection requirements in the enterprise space. Sleeping tabs, that puts tabs asleep and that are not being utilized, saves your memory, saves your battery. History and tab sync, PDF improvements, the work dashboard, that's the, we call it the enterprise new tab page. Microsoft search improvement, so this allows you to search both the internet and intranet in the same space. This is not shared, the results are not shared with Microsoft, they are owned by your own company. It's powered by the graph, it's all safe and secure. I use it all the time trying to find a document or a PowerPoint presentation that I saw somebody present a couple of days ago. So if it's shared, if it's on, your team's SharePoint site, I'll be able to find that and I can go take a look at that, and I don't have to bother anybody in order to figure out where that's at. And then we recently shipped themes, so you can have different themes in the browser. That's always kind of fun to be able to personalize and make it your own, regardless if you're doing work or personal. All right, from a manageability perspective, I've had a lot of new features over the last year. IE mode, we continue to iterate on that. So ability to share cookies between Edge and IE. You can use the Siteless Manager right in the browser. You don't have to open up the tool. We did ship in the OS policies that allow enterprises to disable IE11 without impacting IE mode. This was available as of February. This is great because you can do this now. And so this will disable and hide IE11 from your end user. And we encourage customers to do this now. That way you can understand what the experience is. There's a lot of muscle memory behind IE11. It is 25 years old. It will turn 26 in August, right? So a lot of muscle memory behind utilizing the IE icon. So we've instituted this here in Microsoft. We have removed IE11 from Microsoft machines. So we're along this journey, with you. So go ahead and get that policy in there to see how that's going. And then ability to associate file types in IE mode. So MHT is a common one that was being asked for. For MEM, target version override, you roll back to a previous version. This is integral. Let's say you update to version 91 and something isn't quite working. You need to roll back to version 90. You can go ahead and do that and figure out what's going on in version 91, whether that be on your side or ours, and you can report that back to us. And if you're using kiosk mode, we have Intune integration with that. So that shipped in the March timeframe. And then the M365 Admin Center, we were getting a lot of requests from customers to, trying to understand the browser activity in their area. And so you can now go ahead and take a look at reports in the Admin Center for what browsers and their activities. And then what we're working on in all three of these kind of categories: security, productivity, manageability. MAM DLP, so this allows, we're continuing to partner with our Intune colleagues on this. WDAG improvements, token binding, view MIP, so Microsoft Information Protection Files across tenants. Productivity, profile improvements, so multiple profiles and the ability, so that is continuing to be iterated on based upon customer requests. per site user preference for automatic profile switching. So if you're in a work profile and you're trying to access something personal, hey, do you want to switch profiles or back and forth, right? You're in a personal profile and you're trying to access a work thing. We'll prompt you, hey, we think you probably want to switch profiles here. Microsoft search improvements, PDF, mobile convergence. I know that this has been a big one. We actually just shipped a beta build of Edge on Android, then an updated build. We hadn't updated for a bit of time. There was quite a bit of work on the back end. So that version has now been updated. We're continuing to try to merge into one code base as much as possible across all of these different platforms. So you'll see more coming on that over the next few months. From a manageability perspective, again, IE mode, it's all about IE mode. And right now we want to be a cloud management system. That's what we can continue to get asked for. So we want to get that moved into the M365 admin center. And then we have heard feedback. So we have group policies available. They are available to be managed in Intune, but we have a couple of days lag. And so we're not quite in sync of those policies being available in the GPOs versus being available in Intune. So we're partnering with our Intune folks to get that that lag time down to minimal as possible. So that's kind of the Edge in a 20-minute. Here's what's happening. Here's what's going on, and why we're doing certain things. So lots of documentation here. We've got videos available where you can dive deeper into some of the areas. And documentation and where you can learn more.
Awesome. Steve, what questions do we have from the viewers?
We have a question from Twitter. Have we published any kind of baseline statistics on performance, like browsing speed?
We have on our Edge blog, when we did sleeping tabs a couple months ago, I believe there's quite a bit of information on browsing performance. I can find the link to that and put that in the chat. That's where I would reference. That's where we go and publish documentation on all that good stuff. And so I can find the link and send that through to the chat here.
Okay, cool.
And we just got a question from Sven. During the Edge Ignite 2021 session in March, it said that the app configuration policies for Windows would arrive as public preview in Q2. Is that still on schedule?
So ACP, that's a great one. Yeah, we've been working on that. It's fascinating that you bring that up. So we had a private preview with customers, and it's just not quite ready for public consumption as yet. If you're interested, please let us know. We want to talk more to customers and get it. That's the benefit of doing a private preview, right? We get to get all the customer feedback ahead of time. We get to understand what's missing or what needs to be added. And so if you're interested in that, please let us know. But yes, the team has been working on it, and we continue to gather feedback. I'm going to post the blog about browsing performance here. Hopefully I have done that correctly.
Yeah, you got it.
Excellent.
All right, I don't have anything else top of mind. I mean, I could sit here and bore everybody for the next hour and a half talking about Edge and the various different things. Steve, what else you got?
So we got some clarity about the proxy setting scripting. Actually, this was mobile Windows users and Internet Explorer. They were scripting proxies probably because of varying configurations. And I think they might be looking to know if they can kind of adopt the same strategy with Microsoft Edge.
Okay. Yeah, we do have documentation. Yep, here it is. I knew we had it. This is a little outside my expertise, but I know we have. I'm gonna put in documentation here. This might be more desktop focused, but that'll get you started. I don't think it answers the mobile question though. So I would have to follow up on the mobile side of things.
I think this is what they want. I think
Okay.
yeah, there was some semantic confusion there with mobile and desktop. So
Sure. Proxies, it's kind of interesting. You don't hear about proxies for a couple of years, and all of a sudden I've heard about proxies more in the last few months than I've had in a while. So I appreciate all end users keeping us on our toes.
That's how it normally goes, right? You focus somewhere else because it's a hot topic, and then somebody pulls you right back into the other hotter topic.
Yeah.
Right? Forgot about that. It's like 3 months old now. Well, unless we got any more questions, and this was great. Like I said, I could keep talking about Edge forever because I know it's really changed the way I've worked. Microsoft for 8 years, and just this browser's changed the way I operationalize my day-to-day work. So appreciate all the hard work just on behalf of myself and others that appreciate it. It's been super to see the progress go, and somebody that's been around, I feel like, for forever. It's nice to see the journey, how it just transpired over the many years. So thank you for all the hard work.
Colleen, you mentioned sending feedback. What is the best way for our customers to send feedback regarding Edge? Or
yeah, no, it's kind of a choose your own adventure. I'm not going to lie. So there's lots of different ways. There's the in-browser feedback. So if you go into the 3 dots and there's an area to provide feedback, that's actually what we use internally. So that's a way. If you're an enterprise customer, again, so Edge is covered in your Premier contract. So if you've got, a live site issue or something has gone down, beta and stable channels are covered. They're available 24/7. I work very closely with our escalation engineers in the CSS organization for Edge. A lot of those folks have been in the browser space for a long time, so lots of familiar names. I meet with them regularly for any escalation, so call them. The Fast Track team, Aperture, we have all sorts of resources to provide us feedback. Twitter is another one. If you're a Twitter person, at MSEdgeDev is a great Twitter handle to use. I'm also there at Call Williams. We answer questions there. Reddit is a popular forum to provide feedback. So it depends upon where you're trying to provide feedback. And am I an end user? Am I an IT admin? We've got the tech community forums and the Edge Insider forum. So we monitor all of that stuff. I send out a regular report to my management of, here's all of the feedback channels and here's what we are hearing from everyone. And what's awesome about having all of these feedback channels is when something goes wrong, we hear it, and we hear it from all feedback channels simultaneously. And so that's when it's been set up fairly correctly. Now, we don't want things to go wrong, but this is software and this is real life. So that, it's going to happen.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Colleen. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the hard work and appreciate you being here with us today to talk about Edge. And I guess that's it. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good day. Stay safe.